Welcome to RISEUP Voices from the Frontlines, your window into relationships, identity, safety, emotional awareness, regulation and intelligence, unleashed potential, passion and purpose.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to today's episode of RISEUP Voices from the Frontlines. And today is a very different episode because I've just come home from responding search and rescue and recovery in the Texas Hill Country response. And though I've been on Facebook a little bit, I wanted to do just kind of a candid conversation with you all about this work, about this world, and about what we do and the experiences of our team. And I wanted to be really emotionally vulnerable with you for this moment because that's where I am. So I know as first responders, everybody wants to make it seem like we're not affected by what we see. Like we don't have the emotional overwhelm response to what we're experiencing. And I really want to put into perspective what disaster response entails and what that looks like and what search and rescue means and what we go through and what we experience and what we see, and to give you just a little bit of an insider's view of what is happening in the Texas Hill Country right now and how amazing Texas is in how we take care of each other. So you'll notice I'm a little raw today, and I'm not my usual high-spirited self. And a lot of that is because I've been in disaster response, in emergency response for over 20 years. And I have responded to many fires, floods, hurricanes. I've been there and seen all the tragedy that occurs, but this particular flood was very different, and the devastation that this flash flood created, I have never seen the likes of in my entire life. So while the news media can't even begin to express what is happening there. And there are layers to this that if you haven't seen it and you haven't been there, you'll never understand. But the really big tragedy of this particular flood is the number of young children that were taken. And I know that gets media attention, but what that means for first responders, what that means for search and rescue is that we were recovering these young children, that we had the responsibility to find them and bring them home. And the first few days of crisis response, everybody's frantic. Everybody's trying to find the living. Everyone's trying to rescue those who are entrapped. Everyone's trying to have the happily ever after, because we already knew going into it the first week that we already knew how many kids were missing, and we didn't even have the full numbers. There were many others that were reported missing later. So we knew going in that there was tons of children that we were looking for. And, you're looking in trees and you're looking for cars and you're looking for anything. You're looking for hope. We're opening coolers because parents sometimes will put small children inside coolers in hopes that they'll survive when the flood comes. We're looking in washing machines. We're opening anything that can be closed. We're walking through massive amounts of metal debris and trees, and the silt was 30-40 feet deep in certain areas, and the overwhelming breadth and width, like the overwhelming amount of debris to sift through to find those who could be trapped underneath or trapped in a vehicle or were attempted to rescue in a small enclosed space. The amount of just stuff to get through was a little overwhelming even at first. And the first rotation, we all still had that drive, that hope that, we have a purpose. We're there to save lives. We're there to get those happy endings. We're there to bring people back together. We're there to show a community that it's not alone. And recoveries were happening even then. Some of the families were found. Some of the children were found. Some of the missing adults were found, both alive and deceased. And it's really hard. It's really hard to see that much death and that much devastation to land. And we don't talk about the cost in animal lives. And that's a real tragedy too, because it's birthing season for the deer. And right from the very beginning, we're hearing the mama deers crying out for their lost babies. And we're finding children who are holding their pets, who are holding their dogs, because their dog was their last hope for safety. Like, the dog was with them in the end. And we're finding pets everywhere, dogs and cats. And it's the utter devastation of this particular flash flood. It took everyone completely unaware. The warning systems were there, but this is an area that floods constantly to a much lesser degree. So when the announcements go out and everyone's like, flash flood warning, we've all heard that 5 million times. We know there's going to be a flash flood warning. It happens almost weekly. So because everyone is so desensitized to it, the awareness that this particular warning was so much more urgent, was so much more important. I don't think even the people who send out the warnings, I don't think even they knew what was coming. So a lot of people out there are like, well, how could this happen? How did they not know? How did they not get the warning? Well, a lot of people did get the warning. Unfortunately, it's just a warning that they've heard a million times, and they didn't realize that this was going to be something completely different. And the water rose so quickly with this instance that there was nothing anyone could do. It's not like the floods you see on TV where, it comes in slowly and people are climbing upstairs and, it's trickling into the houses. This was literally a half an hour and we had 30 feet rise, and it wiped houses completely off the face of the planet. It didn't just rise slowly. It literally washed everything away. People were trying to get away in vehicles and they were washed off the highways. And if you saw the impact, that I saw a Facebook post that kind of calculated out, that the impact was tremendous. If your car, your vehicle, your house was hit, it was not floated downstream more often than not. It was not floated downstream in one piece. It was crushed on impact. And then a little bit later, some of the higher level houses were washed downstream. But with that those first impacts, homes were literally crushed. So anything in the wake of that, people that ended up in the water were killed by the debris. They were killed by pieces of automobiles and pieces of houses that were moving so fast. They didn't have a chance. So this is not what we're used to seeing. This is not the average response. So in the middle of, after our first deployment, we came back home for a day and a half and did a bunch of organizing. We had to change out some supplies. We had to make sure that our teams were ready for a more difficult on our second shift. We went to more difficult areas where it's not you don't just walk in on the side of the river, where things like, we need ropes, we need to make sure that our people have harnesses and everything is done safely, and we can check the sides of the river where you can't just walk in. So we had to prepare for that more difficult deployment, and knowing that it's a whole different kind of deployment the second time, knowing that we're no longer looking for survivors. And that was even more complicated by another flood that happened that created new missing people. And there had been a few survivors recovered, rescued from that second. And the whole time we're getting notifications that there's flash flood warnings again, over and over and over again. We had to assist in an emergency evacuation on our first deployment because we had 2,000 volunteers out on the side of the river looking for survivors, looking for to recover remains. And the fire department gets a notification that there is a flash flood in progress and that we need to get all of those people off the side of the river. So Phoenix 1 got put into action, and we got to go lights, and we got to be loud, and we got to warn those folks that they needed to get out of the fields, and offer rides to those who needed rides to their cars that were far away. And we got to participate in that emergency evacuation, which is what Phoenix 1 is for. She's our search and rescue high water vehicle, and you'll see a lot about Phoenix 1 on our social media right now because she's got some damage to her, and we have to replace an engine in that particular vehicle, and we're also upgrading it to a higher level of high water, so because of the kinds of responses we do. So we've got some repairs that need to happen on that vehicle, and we're hoping to add a secondary military high water rescue vehicle to our fleet as well as we're growing. But again, people are commenting on how I'm a little down. Well, our recovery team did have 8 locates, and they were effective recoveries. So our impact is huge. But in that is the knowledge that those are people that are not with us anymore, that those are children. Some of them were children that are not with us anymore. And that is a really heavy burden for the team members. I mean, we're all just real people. We're all just everyday people who dedicate our lives to doing this work. Most of the time when we're doing this work, it's finding lost children. It's finding old folks who wander away from their homes. So there are many levels of what search and rescue entails, and this is the worst of it. This is the part that we don't want to have to do. This is the part that hurts everyone. And this is the part that shows us the miraculous nature of humanity as well. I cannot tell you how beautiful the response in Texas is, how connected the small nonprofit organizations were, how amazing the community embraced us and supported us in our work and worked side by side with us. And that doesn't happen. That's just not the normal disaster response. So whilst I seem a little down, and I will be for a little while because I need to process my emotions in a healthy way, I allow myself to feel the feelings that come from this. We can't pretend it's not a tragedy. We can't pretend it's not a crisis. We can't pretend that people didn't die, that we didn't see the faces of dead children, that social media is going to be constantly replaying all of the beautiful, laughing, living photos of these people that we have experienced in death. That's an awful thing to carry. It's an awful thing to experience. And we also have the joy of knowing that our work puts families back together. Our work brings them back home so that there's finality, there's closure. And sometimes closure is, it's such a psychological necessity. We need to know what happened to our loved ones. We need to know where they are. We need to know we need to know what happened to them. It's just a human need. And that's the work we get to do. And underneath all that is the knowledge that it's unlikely that everyone will be found. It's unlikely that we'll ever know the full truth of it, because even if all those reported missing are found, even if all their remains get home, there's always those who fly under the radar. There's always those in homeless camps. There's always those in poverty. There's always those teenage runaways that don't get reported missing. And we don't know that we're looking for them. And we know that that's a possibility here too, because there were many low-lying areas that were trailer parks and things like that. So we don't necessarily have 100% accurate numbers, and that's true of every crisis. That's just, when this happens, the people that fly under the radar of society, those that don't have family to report them, those that don't have big friend groups, those that are just not on the radar, they stay that way. They stay under the radar, and they'll be found eventually. But that's the truth of it, is that there's always unanswered questions. And just gonna be honest, the work is hard. It's hard, and it hurts, and it's painful, and it's sad, and we cry with people, and we love on people, and we give people as much mental health support as we can. And I think that's one of the things that makes our organization different, is that we actually have trauma-informed mental health personnel on staff and in the field, because help needs to be provided right now, in the moment that you find out your person is gone, at the moment that you find that those remains, in the moment that your heart breaks out in the field, before you have time to close it all up and shove it into a box and pretend like it doesn't matter. So we actually make a really big point to support first responders and search and rescue and community members all out in the field in the moment when it's needed the most. But everyone is cross-trained. So whilst I do mental health and wellness, I also do search and rescue. So I'm out there doing the same work in the same way as the rest of my team. And it creates a really tight bond. It creates a really tight family. And the teams really can be there for each other. So that is really most of what I wanted to say. And I will be back on Facebook as in a couple days. I will be back to my normal self, posting our normal everyday podcast episodes that are so informative, and get my education hat back on and really bring that inspiration and preparation and motivation back to you guys. But I just wanted to be with you and be present in this moment with authenticity, and just say, yes, I'm being a little quiet. Yes, I'm being a little reserved. Yes, I'm hurting. And it shouldn't be a bad thing for us to open up and say that. It shouldn't be unwelcome for us to say, this was really hard, and it's going to live with me forever. It has changed me as a human being, and I'm hurting. And that is the truth. And I really want you all to be able to say the same thing. I want you not to hide behind your badge and not to hide behind your credentials and pretend like everything just fits into a little box, because those little boxes are going to come bursting open one day. So be with your feelings. Let them be what they are. Let them be real and present and show you that you're human, because we're all human. And it doesn't change what you're capable of. It doesn't change the impact that you create. It doesn't change the work that you do and the value of that. Being in your feelings just shows that you're human. And we all need to be a little more human. We all need to allow that humanness to show, because that humanness builds connection and allows us to reach out for the support that we need, and allows us to connect with others who have the same experiences. And if we're not allowing ourselves to be vulnerable and we're closed off, then we're closing ourselves off from being able to support the community members that need us in those times when they're vulnerable. Because if you're trying so hard not to be vulnerable, then you're going to be pushing off their energy when they're vulnerable. And they need us to be not only heroes in the sense of doing the work that we do, they need us to be comforters. They need us to be empathetic listeners. They need us to be supporters of their emotions in those moments. And I know that's not what you signed up for. But if you want to do this work right and you want to be extraordinary at it, you have to be both. You have to do this work and face the darkness. And you have to be the light for those who are having these experiences. And I really want to see that shift in emergency response. I really want to see that shift in search and rescue and disaster recovery. I really want to see that shift in all things first responder, because the more we are human, the more we become heroes. Honestly, truly, heart and soul. And I think that's really the foundation of the desire, right? That's what we want to be. We want to be authentically human and assist others to have a better experience, a better life experience. Even if that means that we have to do work that is ugly on the surface, it's still creating a better life for someone. It's still creating healing for someone. It's still creating answers for someone. No matter how ugly the work is, there is a beauty to the end result if it's done with integrity, if it's done with sacredness, if it's done with respect. And if we remember throughout the process that it's okay to admit it hurts. It's okay to admit that it's hard to look at. It's okay to say that we suffer too. So this is Krista Fee with Battle to Be, the 501c3 nonprofit serving those who serve country and community and all things community safety. So message me if you want to talk, if you want to talk about your experiences out in the field. If you were like me and you feel like this was one of the hardest and most challenging responses you've been on and you just need to vent, I'm here for you. For the family members affected, I am here for you as well. Everything that I do is no charge to our communities. We are 100% self and community funded. If you would like to donate to our organization and ensure that we have the tools and resources that we need to continue this work that we do, I will put a link in the description for the podcast. We are looking for organizational sponsors who would like to support our Phoenix Jeep, especially those in the Jeep community. We offer a very special window into the first responder world that maybe you have less access to. We are not wheelers in the traditional sense, but we will promote your amazing equipment. We'll promote it in ways it's not been seen before. Out in the field in times of crisis. We have to go off-road quite frequently. We're taking it in floods quite frequently. Our vehicles take tons of abuse, tons of damage, and we can get some amazing footage for you to promote your business and maybe get to, we do have a very unique audience that you might not usually be able to reach, that First responders tend to love Jeeps. They tend to love off-road vehicles, so they tend to love the high-intensity equipment. We are looking to add side-by-sides to our roster. It helps us not have to walk in miles upon miles. We had an 18-mile stretch of difficult terrain to work with this time around, and had we had side-by-sides, it would have been much less dangerous for our team. We are looking to add all kinds of specialized equipment. So if you are an organization that would like to sponsor us, we have many different levels and can add amazing marketing to your roster. And you get to help people in the process. So again, my name is Krista B with Battle to Be. This is RISEUP Voices from the Frontlines. Usually don't consider mine the voice from the front lines, but I just felt like this was maybe a necessary conversation. And I'm sorry, but I'm not sorry that this is really unpolished and raw. And I'm just gonna leave you with a little bit of music, because we wrote a song for this flood, and I'd just like to share it with you. It's been playing in the background this whole time, but I think I'd just like to leave you with that.
Come hell or high water, will be there. Nothing can stop the fire we share. Ready to deploy into the fight. When darkness falls, we'll be the light. Light must be brought to the darkest space. Relief to the weary we embrace. We rise up stronger than the storm. Together through it all we're warm. Through fire and flood we carry on, to bring the lost back where they belong. The search goes on, through brush and steel. Our hearts ache with the pain we feel. So young, so alive in our sight. We'll fight until the morning light. Light must be brought to the darkest space. Relief to the weary we embrace. We rise up stronger than the storm. Together through it all we're warm. Through fire and flood we carry on, to bring the lost back home.
Become a RISEUP Hero sponsor to provide mental wellness and crisis response resources for those who serve country and community. Join us in the RISEUP movement today.
Flood we carry on, to bring the